Whether you're new to pool and practicing the basics, or a more experienced player performing drills to improve your shot making and positional play, the Drill Partner is perfect for you.
What the hell was that?
I was trying this like different countdown thing on here on Restream, and it gave me the fucking heebie-jeebies. Evidently, you doing all right? It's one of those. It's one of those. It seemed like a good idea at the time, kind of things, you know.
At the time,
Yeah. Well, Mike, is today going to be a day where like you have some chill, you especially, because
I was tapped out after the other day.
Dang, man, I swear that was part of the longest.
We got after it pretty good the other day. Went an hour and a half. Took me a day and a half to recover.
I don't ever, honestly, I always try to keep it within an hour, but then you know me, like the old, like if it's flowing, then I'm good with it. You know what I mean? Like if the time goes by, but I try to contain it as best I can. So, and usually it's because I'm drinking a lot of water. So, and in my old age, it's like that just run right through me. You know? So, but we got a little fired up the other day. And did you get any messages? Did you get any responses?
No, not much. I got one message that clearly nobody cares about Pius Labutis' social numbers. So,
Pius, we love you, buddy. We care.
We do. I mean, I just wanted. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, we know he's on the team. The world knows he's on the team. The world knows Moritz is on the team.
Yeah.
So I don't know why. To me, it's anticlimactic to make a big announcement about him now. And I was, I think it's a big moment, guys, to get. The minute that they make it, that someone makes a big splash out of it, right? I think that's kind of it's something that I would look forward to, especially when you're someone like Pius who's been busting his ass for a number of years and is close, but you knew he was never going to get picked points
ever.
So I just felt bad for I felt bad for him as much as anything else. I don't really care whether nobody cares whether or not whether I'm, told ahead of time or not, but that's fine.
No, I mean, like, we got spoiled over the years, where it was just like everything was down to the wire. Everything was, and especially as you introduce rankings and all these things, and it's like, hey, listen, once you qualify, like there was posts within an hour, you know what I mean? Like graphic ready, ready to get out. I mean, they so. And especially, like, you want to make it special for guys where it's their first time. And then instead, yesterday, I flip on Facebook and, there was an announcement yesterday, an announcement that I thought I heard announced last week or maybe the week before during the race. I don't remember when I heard it, but I know I heard it recently when they announced the captains. And so that left me shocked and didn't see it coming, when they
confused.
Yeah, when they brought out Shaw and Sky, and so I don't know, man. It's a little I don't know.
It's kind of a disconnect somewhere, and it's like but again, I know that they were busy in the Philippines and Vietnam and one thing after another another. But
listen, it takes a lot to take selfies with JB Sukol and all those things. So it's just, and take photos of, the press team interviewing AJ and, they had their hands full. They had their hands full. So, I get it. There's a lot of stuff going on outside of the Mosconi Cup. Clearly, Mike, $100,000 first prize 10-ball tournament out Qatar, which has just been like wacky and the Wild West. James in the chat says, what happened with Jason Shaw? We were looking forward to that match on the one-loss side. SVB goes out to, or gets sent to the one-loss side via Amir Ali, and then they end up meeting the pride of Team Europe versus the pride of Team USA, Jason versus So you'd be on one loss side. And what happened in that match? Did you get to watch that, Mike? He was up 5-0.
Yeah. Jason got off 5-0, and Shane started coming back. Jason didn't play great, but I didn't see him miss any shots like he did against Arseni. But he missed shots, played some bad position. Shane got into a gear and steamrolled him from like 6-3 down. And then it was all Shane from there. So and Shane really pretty solid for at least a round. He followed that up in the round of 64 with a big win, Shane. And it all came crashing to a halt today, which we'll get to.
Yeah, we're going to jump into the round of 64, 32, and then the 16 starts tomorrow, which we'll kind of preview a little bit. But it's Halloween, Mike, as well. What do you do on Halloween? Because you ain't got no kids, Mike. So, like, what is the typical Panozzo tradition on Halloween? Is it just like cocktails and scaring little kids?
Yeah, so sit on the front porch with my shaker and my martini glass and give kids olives. I give kids olives when they come back.
Is that right? Start them while they're young, Mike. I like your style.
We have some weird little masks or funny nose and eyeglass, whatever, when we answer the door and give kids candy. I like to see the kids dressed up, have fun. I mean, everybody, they love to see their outfits, and it's fun.
Look, I wanna start a tradition. Well, I'm going to talk about starting a tradition, and let's see if we remember next year. Next year, if we do a Halloween show, we got to dress up. And I don't even dress up for going trick-or-treating, but I mean, like, we got to dress up if we do a Halloween show, and it's got to be of your favorite, of like somebody in the pool industry. And you can't give any hints or anything like that. You got to just come out live on the show. And so I can hook you up with a good tattoo artist if you need to, but if you're getting
if I want to be you,
yeah. I'll dress up like you. You dress up like me, and we'll start that year number one. No, so
you don't have to wear lifts.
Qatar Open. We got a lot of stuff coming up with that.
You froze up on me, guy.
I don't know, my internet went down, or hey, are you still there, Mike?
Yeah.
Check. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here.
How about now?
I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about now?
I
don't know what's up with my internet. Seppa says, yeah. I mean, listen, we beat that horse to death last show. So NJ Pool Player says he's dressing up like Stu. Now there's a guy with some style. He kind of reminds me of Uncle Mike does Stu. You know Stu very well. He's a great guy.
Stu and I are we're the same age.
Match. Are you really?
Yeah. Stu and I we're we're pretty close.
There's like a few guys that I genuinely enjoy looking forward to every time that I see him, and he's one of them for sure. Like every time I see him at the Derby or whatever or wherever, like he's a good, genuine, like lover of pool and intelligent and articulate, and so
gold star sweater right
he's
there.
A sweater. Yeah, for sure. We got to get Jenny Ann on the show since we bring up railbirds. I want to we got to do more stuff. We got to do a better job, Mike, in general. So bring some balance to the show. I guess Mosconi Cup announcements are coming up, Mike, since they started it yesterday, and so I'm assuming we're going to have more today.
Well, I saw Moritz got announced today.
Oh, did he? I haven't been on Facebook
there was a Moritz post. There was a Moritz post on Matchroom today.
Okay.
I'm sure that caught a lot of people by surprise.
Yeah, I mean, shit, that's blown away, shocked. I didn't see it. I didn't fucking see it coming, So,
I'm expecting, next week, which is a whole 4 weeks out, that everything will be, announced and whatever. So, we'll finally get to know who's actually going to be there. Although we supposedly know most of it now. You posted kind of a sheet from Matchroom that showed Filler and Shane, on the team as the top vote getters, but it wasn't a list of the top point guys. It was the list of the teams,
Well, it was
right?
so our guy MV, right? He's like, I don't know where he's at right now. He's dogging it for sure, but like he was the one who had messaged me in Facebook and gave me like a heads up and sent me that screenshot was his actually. And so, um, but the reason why I gave it some weight was because the fact they had David in there, so by them having David in there shows to me anyway that it was like that's the lockdown, and of course the fact that they hadn't announced number 5 either. So and
Well,
and listen,
it had the captains in there too, so it's obviously
yeah,
not a list right based on points.
yeah,
It was Team Europe, Team USA, and Shane is on there, and Filler's on there, and Tyler's on there. So we're just going to make the assumption that sometime between now and next week, Shane and Joshua will get formal calls and invitations, whether it's comes from
well,
Matchroom or it comes from their captains.
yeah, yeah. I mean, well, let me ask you this, Mike, because we speculated for a little bit for obvious reasons, right? Matchroom set the precedent on kicking Josh the fuck out of Reyes Cup and kicking him out of Mosconi Cup, and so that's what led to speculation this year as to how it would get announced. I didn't take it in as any kind of surprise that Josh was not announced on or was not picked for Reyes Cup, even though anybody with half a brain who legitimately wanted to win would have picked him. Um, and so, like now that assuming that they are getting a nod, which I'm pretty sure they are,
Yeah,
to be on the team. Well, not the nod, but they earned it, so like they're not going to take it away from them this time.
right,
Um,
right.
assuming that's the case, Mike, what are your thoughts and feelings on that?
On what? On the teams or on the announcements or
No, I mean, listen, there's still no announcements, but just like assuming that Josh and Shane get on, what are your feelings that they made it on the team and that Matchroom kept the process and the rankings and all those things?
yeah, well, it just kind of confirms what we kind of thought, prior to Reyes was they were tinkering with Reyes to make sure Reyes worked. They were holding, Hanoi over everybody's head because it was the same time as another tournament. And if you wanted to be in Reyes, you had to be in Hanoi. They weren't holding that same gun to everybody's head for Mosconi Cup, which is good. These guys earned it on points. Did several of them miss a fair number of matchroom tournaments here? Yeah, no, Sky did, Shane did, Filler. That's so. Again, I've said it before. Kind of giving a little bit of a mulligan this year on this end of the year confusion. Although I didn't think they handled it great, but next year we got to hope that it's watchable all year long, spelt out all year long, and and is marketed all year long, like we've come to know these tournaments are. The Reyes, well, for sure, Mosconi, and hopefully they'll have the same kind of success with Reyes.
Yeah, I think like that gives like an unbiased foundation to go and grow on, right? It's like you go and you'll have things that we're going to keep close to the vest in terms of our picks, but the rest of you guys go and have at the 3 spots or 2 spots depending on the event, right? And so um yeah, I hope it's like that because I mean any sport in general, Mike, it's like the end of the year always becomes more intriguing for me, whether it's
Yeah,
NFL and getting the first pick, or being the guy to go and spoil your rivals' chances of getting the playoffs, or basketball and seeding and just all these things that like I just get out of every traditional sport. You know what I mean? And so there's a chance to go and have something like that here, and for whatever reason, like it was just it was just different this year, and so I love the sweating part of it, and I always say like there's always a twist with Matchroom when it comes to these announcements, and in this case, like it's not even a twist; it's just everybody knows it, it's obvious. We're not going to capitalize on the moment, because we're capitalized on other moments, I guess, at the time, and now, um, we're going to announce them in this anticlimactic kind of way on social media, and so. I hope that things kind of change around for the better for the players' sake, and especially for the guys who like the PSs of the world. Those are the ones that I really hope that they do a better job for, because and there's a lot of those guys that are like a Max Lechner or a Dennis Grabe or Mario He and all these guys who, like, we knew that they were always contending, and PS and Moretz are like the ones out of which I would consider in that similar type group who like got across the finish line,
Yeah.
But would it have been the case if you mentioned a lot of these guys didn't play a full year, Filler included? Would it have been that way had he played a full season? I don't know. We'll never know. But either way, congratulations to them, because it does bring a different dynamic to the team, and it needs a little like shaking of the trees. You know what I mean? Like there's got to be some freshness to it. So
I'll tell you what, you better get used to seeing Moritz on that team because this guy's not going any place in a hurry.
You think he's going to make the team next year? That's what your gut will tell you right now?
I think I'm so impressed with him. I mean, I've seen PS win tournament. I've seen Robbie Capito win a tournament. I've seen Mickey Krause win a tournament. They don't have the same. I don't have the same walk away with them that I do Moritz for building on that and becoming even stronger or winning more frequently. I see that with Moritz. That's why you can call him a rookie all you want. Don't expect him to be quaking in alley pally. This guy's solid, of mind and physical ability. He's the real deal. I think just consistently solid.
Yeah, I mean, reflecting on like the year prior, right, where like we thought he had a chance of making it in, and that U.S. Open where he got sick and fizzled out when he had a good opportunity, and then for him to kind of take that next step. That's what big guys do. That's what all the big boys go and do.
It's a stepping stone every year for these guys, and they learn. Okay, next year I'm gonna, half of the year I'm not going to get overwhelmed, or I'm not going to think about Mosconi Cup. I had a really interesting conversation with David Alcade after the Philippines Open, and I talked about how, does he think about the Mosconi during the course of the year? And he said, not really. I said, but when it comes down to crunch time at the end, it seems like your focus gets dialed up. And he said, as it gets closer, what you have to get. It does help a little bit focus wise. And he said that I've seen with a lot of the other players that they, especially the younger ones, they have a real good start to the year. And we've talked about this a million times. First half of the year, it looks like these guys are all making runs at the team, and the second half of the year they kind of fade. He suggests that I think maybe thoughts of things like Mosconi get into their head, and they look at where they're at in the points list, and they start watching who the guy is doing in the tournament, and all that stuff just takes your focus off the job at hand. And he thinks that may be a factor in the way that happens, and that kind of gives him a little more drive, because he can focus in on that tournament, and he showed it in the Philippines.
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue with it, and I'm sure he's been in that position before in his career, and so he's lived it, he's breathed it, he's eaten it, all those things, and so, and I think it's.
Well, this guy's career pretty much started at 40. It's unbelievable.
Well, I think that and we talked about this the other day, like how young it is and all these things, and that's the part that amazes me about David more than anything, and just like. He's solid, like the same way you consider Moritz. I can think of David in that. I mean, the same way you think about David, I can think of Moritz being that kind of staple of a team for the future. You know what I mean? Just that solid, consistent type player who's not gonna fade on you. He's got good energy in terms of being able to mesh well with anybody, whether it's a superstar or the rookie coming in, right? And I do feel like the fact that he's going to have his buddy Pius there with him is going to be kind of similar to what David and Fran were a few years ago. You know what I mean? Of having your boy
Yeah,
there and being comfortable like that.
could be.
So,
Great support system.
yeah, for sure. But you got to just, listen, I got the world of respect for David these days. Not that I didn't before, but just like the way that he's been able to process some of the things that he's been through over the course of his career.
Yeah,
And I agree with him. Like
unbelievable.
it is a whole different world, like compared to even just a few years ago, Mike. Like these guys who are in the mix 6 months in, it's like now there's more pressure to, are your social media numbers good? How much are you traveling? How much are you posting? How much are you doing this and that and the other? But it's like you can't forget to like go out there and win, and David, to his credit, David just goes out there and handles it when it's time. And so um
I think the experience and he's had success now, good success. So the pressure's off him to, get a monkey off his back, anything like that. And now it's the point where when he says he goes out there and he's just trying to enjoy the moment and try to enjoy the event and just make sure he plays his best, gives 100%, which he always is going to do, then he's happy. And that takes a lot of weight off your back when you have that, when you can really, everybody can talk that mental frame of mind, that mental approach, but living it's a different thing. David, I believe right now is just living. He's just going out there and he's playing, and he plays as best he can, and he's happy with that, and he's doesn't put any undue pressure on himself, and he tries to enjoy the moment. You see him talking to guys after a match, talking to JB or talking to Senny after the final or whatever, and encouraging them or whatever, whether he wins or loses. He's gotten to that point in his career where he's really comfortable where he's at, and that's made him more dangerous because he's such a good player.
Do you see the future of like European captaincy, Mike, in your opinion?
I don't know. I don't know whether whether that makes him captain material or not, because the ability to explain things and break it down, a little bit of a language thing, that's a little bit tough to sift through because David's English is okay, but it's not Alex Laley or Johan or Jason or whatever in terms of getting everybody on the same page and having to understand what you're trying to drill into, whether he has that.
I think he's certainly got like if they bring it back, like co-captaincy written all over him, as far as like keeping guys in it, and he certainly has
great
a lot of leadership qualities as well, like just in general. And you see him just not even like, it's not even a David, this is your role. It's just, that's just David. You know what I mean? Like he epitomized that. That's just who he is in general. And even seeing him like in the Reyes Cup go out there when he wasn't getting paid to be out there, but just going out there and like pumping guys up and getting in guys' ears and stuff. And so like those type of leadership qualities, I certainly admire and respect. And that's the reason why I would kind of give you the nod. I mean, it's tough when and this is the one thing about Johan and Laley where I think was hard for a lot of guys to go, like as far as average fans to understand, it's like you can't appreciate what exactly they do because you haven't seen them lift a world championship trophy or a US Open trophy or whatever, but it's like they are teachers, they are leaders of men. Yeah. And so it takes a certain type of skill to be able to hone all that in and then to get the respect from guys. They've gotten all that. And so, but it's like, it kind of reminds me of, and I'm not going to say David is like Jordan, but like, when Mike went and was a owner of a team, he was terrible at draft picks, you know what I mean? So it's like, it doesn't always necessarily translate into,
like, you look at sports like baseball and football, how many Hall of Famers are coaches or managers or whatever? Very few. I mean, these are guys, teachers. It's a different level.
I think like it's so much to where you can. A lot of times, I feel like it's the guys who are like the backup quarterbacks and the guys who are on the sidelines half their career that end up being better coaches than the superstars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
for whatever reason. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's we'll see. But I know at this point, I like seeing David out there. I like seeing him go and compete. I'm excited to see him out there in Ali Pally. And really, it's for those type of guys where I certainly appreciate like what they're able to do in terms of their age and at what point in their career, and just with still a lot to prove. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
anyhow, Mike, we're 30 minutes in. You ready to jump into some Qatar Open conversations?
Yeah, we're talking about David, who got knocked out in the first rounds of the Qatar tournament, and
Yeah. I know. Well, there was a lot of guys who went out early. Mike Federer's on a plane right now, amongst others. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of guys who dipped out early. You talked about Shane beating Shaw. He's out of there already. Shane loses today to Moritz 11-4. Just got the brains beat in by him. You mentioned Moritz already. Yeah. Talk to me more about this kid, Mike, and what are your thoughts on this win at this point of the year against Shane in this type of tournament, and what it can do for the Mosconi as well?
I don't think he's afraid of playing anybody in any tournament. And he's on such a good hot streak that I think that he's comfortable playing. Now, I think his next match against Alvin is really an interesting match to me. Two hardcore European, solid, technically good players, the young guy and the old guy. And Alvin is, obviously, before he won the World 8-Ball, I wouldn't have, thought that much about this match. But obviously, Alvin is got his head. He's in a good place right now. He's playing well here. So Alvin's in the final 16 is a really interesting. I think it's going to be a really good match to watch.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you talk about guys who are, hitting on all cylinders at the same time. It's no surprise that we're seeing these two guys meet at this point of a big tournament, and especially given like the pure pull part of it, you know what I mean? Because both these guys are playing like just great pull, and so beating Shane, look, that's strong for Moritz, especially beating him in 10-ball. It just shows, It to me, matches like this just show more of an all-around game, smart decision making, the ability to kill, and to do it while you're riding the hot hand is not easy to do, because as you pop onto the radar and as you start, and if you win a major or if you land in one of these invitationals or whatever, now there's expectations of you, Mike, and guys like Albin right below it. He's been the epitome of consistency and expectations his entire career. And, the last few years have been tough for him, but there was a strong stretch where he was there all the time. You know what I mean? And so, I'm like you, I'm excited to see it. One thing that just stands out to me as I was going through like all these, like the brackets, how strong is fucking Germany, man? Like Germany is unbelievably deep, man.
Yeah, Felix Vogel and Tobias Bongers, and I mean these guys are just like don't stop, do they?
Yeah, I mean it's even the guy who was playing against Felix Turku, whatever his name is, I couldn't fucking pick that guy out of a lineup, Mike, and I thought I watched a little bit of pool, So, But give me your thoughts. Who's getting through to the final four, or what is that? That's going to be 16. Who's getting through to the final 8 there between Moritz and Albin, in your opinion, Mike?
I would have to, if I had to gamble at this point, I'd pick Moritz. I mean, the guy's just playing too good right now and has no fear of anybody. And Albin's going to have to be like A+ to beat Moritz, is my thought on this. And Moritz came from behind against Kazakis, had a tough, he's had 2 good matches in a row, Kazakis and Shane, coming from behind to beat Alex and front running against Shane. He looks really good. Albin hasn't had, I haven't seen a lot of marquee wins along the way for him in this event, but Albin's playing well just by how he won the World 8-Ball. So, so it's going to be a good match. But if I had to, roll the dice on something here, I'm going with Moritz.
Shocking. He's going with the guy who's been winning everything. Look, I'm going to give you some action just because.
Well, you're going with Albin?
I'm going. Listen, I'm gonna win either way. Either I'm paying for dinner or you're paying for dinner. But I'm gonna fire a little dinner bet on that one. I'm going
Okay.
Albin. Like you, I'm kind of riding the hot hand, except I'm going with the experience in this one. Look, I think that the one thing that I've always really appreciated about Albin's game is that it doesn't matter where he's at, he always plays the right shots and executes at an extremely high level. And I know he can be emotional at times, but when he hasn't been dealing with the circus and the bullshit in a little bit of time, and so I feel like that's been a little bit of like freeing for him, you know. And
Yeah, yeah.
so I think that this is going to be right up his alley. I think like while before the World 8 Ball, I probably would have picked Moritz. Now that he won the World 8 Ball, I'm going with Alvin on that one. Down below, Mike Bader Alawadi takes a low host sum. We haven't seen him since the World Pool Masters. Jonas survives Robbie Capito in a matchup with two like up and coming
Came from
superstars.
behind. Yeah, came from behind in that one. He was trailing, caught up with him at the end. Beat Alexa before that. So Jonas is another guy who's, he's way into these late rounds pretty frequently.
Yeah, and I want to see this kid go, continue on because I want him to build his bankroll. I like seeing him go and compete like a Moritz. I think he's got like Mosconi Cup staple for the next few years written on him as well. Yeah, he gets he's doing a lot of social media. He's doing a lot of playing, but like fundamentally, his play has been steady and strong for the last 2 years, Mike. And so
Yeah,
um, I want to see him go deep in this tournament. Like I said, build up a bit of a bankroll. Beating Robbie is solid, and because Robbie he's kind of like the sixth man left out of Team Asia all for the last 2 years, and so
yeah, right.
um, his game is right there, and like the same thing with Moritz, winning these type of tournaments, these type of matchups in a gritty style is just showing to me how balanced you are as a player, and
Yeah,
so um, any of the big boys can front run, but it takes a certain type of talent to go and come from behind and to keep on pulling away. Jonas Magdempe takes out the world champion Carlo Biato 11-8. A battle of the Poles. Wojciech, that dude, man, taking out Snagaki 11-7. What was your takeaway on these two matches, Panoso?
well, surprised to see Carlo go. I mean, we've seen, this was a tough round for heavy hitters. I mean, Shane goes out, Beato goes out, Filler goes out. It's we lost a lot of heavy hitters in that round. Surprised to see Carlo go out, but we know that one thing about Carlo is he hates playing Filipinos. He just
Yeah.
doesn't treat Filipino opponents the same way he does others. Not that he lets it off easy, but I think something just kind of uh, something about playing a countryman that he doesn't care for. But Jonas he's been playing really strong. This whole past month.
He's a great player and very underrated. You think he's like this generation's almost like Levan Corteza, where it's just like you better look out if you see him on a bracket. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I think part of the reason why you see Carlo, I don't want to say lose to Filipinos, but like he's more vulnerable, is just because like although there's respect, there's also this like he's not immortal to them. You know what I mean? Like they've been around him, they know him, they have gambled with them, they've sparred with them, and not to mention the fact that like 10 ball is the Filipinos game. You know what I mean? Like outside of 15 ball rotation, like that's how
yeah. I'll
you
tell you what,
that's how you set somebody up.
it takes a Filipino to go and take out the Hall of Famer on his birthday. That's some cold shit there.
Well, I'm sure they ain't fucking eating lumpia right now, celebrating. Although you never know because Carlos just a nice guy in general. So, but listen, this is the reason why, and just in general when it comes to this tournament, we talked about it yesterday, like the volatility of it and the lack of seeding and brackets or whatever, like how crazy it's been from the jump as far as monster matchups. I don't want to see guys like while some tournaments I can appreciate being able to get your wheels greased and get some momentum and beat some dead money or whatever. Like I like the fact that from the jump you're having to fade killers. You know what I mean? And so I think it sets up for more I don't want. I mean, this is an upset, but like it's more understandable in this spot. I feel like because McIntyre he knows Beato very well, and so. But that following matchup down below, Mike Wojcik beating out Snagaki 11-7. That's another dude who's like, you think about top Europeans. This guy's a former world 10 ball champion. Here he is in the final 16. In Wojcik, who do you like out of that matchup, Mike?
Um, I'll take Wojcik.
I guess we're going I guess we're going two dinners then, Mike, because I'm taking.
Yeah, Wojcik's just solid and consistent, and I like his game. I like his demeanor. He just kind of, he just goes about business. No one pays a lot of attention to him, even though they know he's a great player. No, he's not. He's not going to get too many TV tables, and he just, like I said, goes about his business and just keeps winning. He does, finals of the World 8-Ball Championship, wins the World 10-Ball Championship. So it's it'll be good. It'll be a good match. But yeah, I'll take Wojcik.
This gets me like more seeing the pure sports side of things is just awesome for me because like so many different names are just popping up here, Mike. Niels Fine now beating Roman Heidler, strong Czech player 11-6. Mohamed Sufi taking out the former, I guess the only Spanish Open champion we've had, if I'm not mistaken, in Dang 11-8. So like it's all this chaos, Mike. Like there's consistency and then there's chaos. It's just a nice balance for me, if you will. And
no, it's great. This is a cool matchup. Mohamed Sufi against Niels. I mean, Sufi just flies around the table, and Niels is very deliberate and calculating, and that's it'll be an interesting match. I don't know how many dinners you want to go online for, but I'm taking Niels.
I ain't fucking with you on this one, Mike. We already got two in play. I'm not. Listen, I love Sufi. I love his style of play, but like I get betting on Sufi is like a little bit like I was gonna say Gerson because they got a similar style, but I think Gerson's ceiling is a bit higher than Sufi's. I'm not about it. I think it's a lot higher than Sufi's is. But I haven't seen enough of them lately. The win against Dang is solid because Dang is ruthless and pocketing balls and playing Chinese 8-ball and all these things. It's just like, man, I'm not. Listen, that's a good win, but you got to have another good win. I'm not betting against Terminator. I can't be more of a bigger fan of this guy than I already am, and so I'm betting on Niels like you are. Down below, Wu Kun Lin loses to Chua. Chua survived in the round of 32. The matchup he was down all throughout there. It sets up an all Filipino matchup against Bonus after he takes out Claudio Kachi. Mike, what are your thoughts on these two?
Oh yeah, Chua had to come from behind Kunlun Wu, but yeah, it's be a good, good match of Filipinos against each other. Those are tough to pick, because like you said, they know each other, they play each other. 10-ball is the game down there. It's you just can't go chalk in one of these matches. But I do like Chua in this. I think he had a rough tournament. In the Philippines, I think that he'll, I think he's got another good tournament in him before this year's over.
Look, I love Chua. I love talking with him. He's a cool guy. A lot of success. I'm going with chaos in this one, Mike. You take out Claudio. I'm really high on this one. That I think he's like what Magnum Pay was to Beato is what Bonus is going to be to Chua in this one. So I'm going to take a little. I'm gonna go out on a little bit of a flyer here, and take the other Filipino. Although I'm not gonna be upset if Johan wins. I love that guy. He's a great ambassador. Curao is continuing on, and then down below, Mike Filler just gets demolished after surviving a hill match in the previous round. Do you know that guy, Juan Fu?
No, not at all. And I don't know the guy he beat 11-10 either. There's and he got run over, and I didn't see any match footage on this. I didn't see it available. When I was looking on YouTube, I didn't really see that match. I'd like to see it and see what this guy looked like, because he had him right from the get-go, 4-0, 6-2. Whatever. He was 4 or 5 games ahead of him. Kept stretching the whole way to the end. So yeah, he pounded him pretty good.
Man, I never even heard of him. Like I've never seen the name. I couldn't pick out the face. Like I have no clue who that guy is. And to go and beat Josh, let me ask you this, man, because it kind of brings me to like a bigger question here, because a lot of big names going out. What's the deal with all these like superstars going out in this round? Is Filler like more vulnerable these days, or like, and even Federer for that matter, because Federer's been disappearing out of tournaments the last 2 months consistently.
Yeah, no, it's the fields are tougher. I think the more often these guys get together and play, the more comfort playing anybody. I don't think they're afraid of anybody. They can all run out. Filler, we've talked about it. He won early in the year, and since then really hasn't been a big threat a lot of times, it seems like. And Federer, I was looking through his, great summer, second World Championship, second at the U.S. Open, third at the China Open. But you go through Florida Open, Paris Open, Hanoi, and Qatar. He's reached the round of 32 once. The other ones were all round of 64, or in the World 10 Ball, he was 2-out.
Really? Even including Florida?
Yeah.
That's wild by his standards, man, because Federer was like Mr.
Late. Florida, he went out round of 64. Paris Open, round of 32. Hanoi, round of 64. Qatar, round of 64. World 10 Ball, 2-out. That's a pretty, that's a pretty tough run there.
Well, you can listen. You can. He's putting up shot numbers at this point, which depending on how you look at it, either really consistent or fizzling out by Federer standards. Yeah. I'm surprised, Mike, and I don't know what to chalk it up to be honest with you, because like if you were to go and bet who you think's going to go and last longer, you would pick those two guys. Like if you tell me you're going to get Federer, Filler, and Shane against the field, most pool fans are going to say I'm in, And at the beginning of the year, maybe you were stealing. Now it's a whole different second half of the season. It feels like, Mike.
Yeah, I think maybe we just need to get used to this. We're just going to see more names more often, and these guys are still going to win their tournaments, but they're not going to be Final 8 every tournament like they seem to be for years, where they're at the very least making 16, 8, whatever. Now, yeah, they can lose in 64. They can lose, and it doesn't have to be because I draw, Pinyi Ko or something like that. It's you look at the two names that Filler struggled against one and lost to the other, and couldn't pick them out of a lineup. So I think it's probably the new norm that these guys are going to have bigger peaks and valleys during the year, because there's so many good players out there these days getting into a lot more tournaments, and the comfort level and the familiarity and all that is just higher for all these guys.
Federer for me was the more like shocking one, to be honest with you. Listen, I got the world of respect for Josh and his ability too, and I would still listen. I'm betting on him against Juan Hu or whatever that dude's name is all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. And I'm probably spotting him like 3 or 4 games on top of that, like an idiot. But like Federer usually gets up for these big money tournaments. Like anytime there's a big prize fund, you always see him on the business end.
He earmarks certain events, and that's when his attention span gets really dialed in. But and I'm not suggesting that he didn't do that here, but the results weren't there. That's for sure.
Let me ask you one other thing, and before we keep on cruising through on Qatar, Shane's out, and now Federer's out as well. we talked about the U.S. getting their ass whooped, on the last show and all these things, and you think about the number one and number two guys of Team USA. Now I know it's 10 ball, I know it's Qatar versus 9 ball on a matching stage, so like there's differences there, and the game does matter, the arena does matter, all those things. I'm going to give weight to it, but like neither one of those guys have had very much success in the Mosconi arena either in Shane and Federer. What's your like optimism level like with those two as far as expectations going into December, considering how the last few months have gone for him?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's high as far as the confidence level. But and history tells you it's not going to improve. But we all know that you can flip the switch pretty quickly in Mosconi if you know where to run. Just because it's races to 5 and you're not playing every match so can they turn it around? Yeah, sure. It's Shane and Federer. They're pretty good pool players, so I'm not going to say that they can't do it, but yeah, not a lot of warm and fuzzies right now.
I think it's like we talked about year in and year out, like certain guys have the it factor, right? And those two guys have the it factor where they'll have guys shaking in their boots who are mentally weak before they even, lag for the rack or for the match,
Right.
But I think the talent level and the consistency of play, the gap is just closed a lot further, And so I would still hold them in an elite category, obviously, right? Like anybody with two eyes would. But maybe it's just the fact that like they're not instilling fear, you know what I mean, through some of these guys anymore like they used to. And Shane is different because of the age and all those things, and I get all that part of it as well.
Well, I mean, I like what Pelly is saying here, that they're drained from consistently traveling and playing, and I do think right now this time of year has taken its toll on everybody. This was a stretch. This whole Asian, last from beginning of late September until now has been a grind for these guys. A lot of these guys have been living out of a suitcase for 30 plus days.
That is extremely difficult, Mike. Extremely tough.
And so I think that next year, I mean, it's great that, and what he said too is everybody's asked for it. They wanted all these tournaments. Now they've got them. Hopefully it'll be spaced out a little bit better next year. And I think, and David alluded to this when I talked to him as well, is that guys, especially the older guys, the Davids, the Shanes, whatever, next year you're going to have to look. Hopefully they'll get a calendar early in the year. A lot of the WPA Predator stuff's already out. We keep hearing that Matchroom's going to come out with some schedule pretty much by the beginning of the year. I think a lot of these guys are going to pick and choose where they're going to go, and they're not going to spend 30 to 40 days in Asia playing pool, no matter how many tournaments are. I think they're going to be a little more judicious about picking their spots, and we'll see whether that allows them to have more success, because I think this has been a brutal grind.
The last 2 years have been like that, but especially like this last month for them in particular. And I agree with that for sure. Like it is, I don't care how old or young you are, when you're living out of a suitcase and not on your diet and not on your routine and all these things, like it is tough. And I'm not trying to make excuses for them at all, but that's a realistic concern, for a lot of guys, and they are human, and they do get drained, and it is, and I don't, and even a little bit.
All these guys that are winning these matches are on the same grind. Fran, people, but it's just, that's why I say I think it's not surprising then for me to see these peaks and valleys with these top players because of the grind. They're gonna have some tournaments they play really well. They're gonna have some tournaments where they're 2 and out.
Well, but let me ask you this, because so, you brought up the fact of Federer, right? But Federer has been in the finals of the World Championship. He was in the finals of the U.S. Open as well. But Federer, on the other hand, I mean, when was the last major that he won outside of the UK at the beginning of the year, or the European, whatever it was?
UK Open, was that what it was?
Something like that.
Yeah, other than that, really not. not a great year for him. That's for sure.
Not by his standards.
No, not even close.
I'm gonna bring back up the brackets. I posted them on Windows Open as well, and you guys can check that out. Is this match still live, Mike Vogel and Turkey, or is this thing just not refreshed?
Turku won. Turku came from behind and won.
Turku won? What was the score then?
11-8.
How is it 11-8 when it shows
9-7? I'm sorry, 11-9. 11-9.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he came back and won 11-9. So he won the last 4 racks.
That's pretty solid. I like that kid Felix a lot, though.
Yeah, I do too.
Like Fool, whatever that dude's name was, I don't know who the hell Turku is, neither, Mike. You know, so.
But you talked about German players. Here's another one coming out of no place, and suddenly he's in the final 16.
Let me ask you this, Mike. If you had Team Germany against Team Philippines, who are you taking? And be careful. There's probably Filipino fans watching, and I know you like to piss them off from time to time. So just
I'm Team Philippines all day.
You think they're just stealing? Look how deep these guys are.
I didn't say they're stealing. I said that that's the call I'm making without thinking twice.
Well, listen, that's the problem. You ain't giving them enough respect. You're just shooting from the hip, quick.
No,
that call.
I give the Germans plenty of respect.
I'm kidding. I just like giving you a hard time, Mike. I just like giving you a hard time. Naoki Oi, another guy who's been super consistent lately, Mike, as well, like flying under the radar, beats Ryan Su 11-8. Ryan's a great player, severely underrated, in my opinion. A top-level Taiwanese talent. I think he's just a tier below like the Ko brothers, but I think he's right there at the heels of like Wu Kun Lin in that same type of category. I got a lot of respect for his game. So big win for Oi. I guess you're going to take Oi then against Turku, right? Because neither one of us knows much about Turku, right?
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, and Oi gets to this part of a lot of tournaments. Final 8. I mean, he can get there.
And look at this, Mike. Another German is cruising on through. Yeah. Tobias Bongers takes out our boy Victor Zielinski 11-8. Yannick Pongers loses 11-0 to Fran. Is that the right scoreline, or did Pongers just not show up like that? And that was a quick match too.
That was right. That's the right score. Better, and then beat Ali, and he comes through and gets whitewashed by Fran. So. It happens. I don't know how that happens at this stage of a alternate break 10-ball tournament, but it happened. Not going to see it too often.
No, and quick too. That's the part that's also surprising. But like in general, I'm loving seeing youth. I'm love seeing variety. I love seeing the chaos side of it, along with some like balance of seasoned veterans, the likes of, Niels, and I guess you can consider Oi as well, but Fran was in the final of the World 10 ball a couple of years ago, and people kind of forget like his 10 ball game because he's been Mr. 9 ball lately. But like, when they take the time to figure out that break, and let me ask you this, Mike, do you know what the conditions are like? Like, are the tables tough, or are they playing on buckets? And is that the reason why we're seeing this type of like, these lesser named players kind of?
I've had a couple people have commented that the tables have been a little bit tough especially with the break. I haven't noticed anything. I certainly haven't seen any players commenting on it, which where if they wanted to conspiracy theory their way through their responses, we'd have seen a lot of that by now.
Look, last year Daniel Maciel wins, and I know he went 2-out in this one, but like this year, I mean, everybody's there, and it's still going to be like as chaotic. It seems like as it was last year. That's why I guess as surprising. I don't want to say chaotic, as surprising as it was last year. But despite the fact that like there's, everybody and their mom is there, and then all the big names have already gone out already. So It's
going to be a wild finish. you could end up with a couple of real, surprises in the finals. So I don't know what Josef's saying here. Jan was playing like a 400 Fargo rated player. I don't know. He beat Federer and then he beat Amir Ali. So I'm not sure.
Maybe he's talking about maybe he's talking about against Fran. I didn't get to watch the match, so I'm just assuming though that that's probably what it was. And certainly there must have been something because I mean Fran didn't break and run. Well, if that's the case, Mike, I'm putting you in next year because you right around that 400 range, and if 400 can go that deep,
400 on a good day,
I'm gonna stake you, buddy. Yeah, no, this tournament finishing up is gonna be great, and I love the fact that like I'll wake up in the morning and there's still matches going on because they delayed a lot of the match, not delayed it, but like they've adjusted their schedule, which has been great for us to be able to watch here in the States as well. So
I tell you what, I do want to make one comment though about the field.
Okay.
Through the whole Asian tour, we kept talking about how the Asians have been dominating and it's finally showing you that the best players in the world are Asians. Well, this is like the Philippines Open was all Europeans at the end. This tournament here, what are we at? We're at the final 16. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. 9 out of the final 16 are Europeans.
I'll tell you what, I'll take Asia. How about that?
Yeah, I know that, but I'm just saying, it was really easy to say that, and for a while it looked like it was being backed up into Asia, into tournaments in Asia. Everybody's like, the Europeans can't really, they were only tough because the Americans were so bad for so many years. But man, they showed up at the end of the Asian police.
Look, the class of Europeans you can't deny, and I don't mean just in general, like even you think about from like a generational aspect, because there's like a solid mix of youth and experience that we mentioned before.
Yes.
And so like that part I greatly appreciate for sure. And respect too, like as much as I like to throw jabs and fire some dinner bets, like it's all in good fun. But I love it. But don't forget the fact that like, listen, there ain't no Cole brothers there. There's no Yap there. Like those are big names, big boys with a lot of resumes, experience, and success this year. And so now do I think like there will still be these same, like a lot of these same guys there? Yeah, for sure. But I would love to, like, I guess it just depends on the type of player, because like Moritz, I would still factor in to be there. But then some of these other guys like a Bongers or Turku or whatever, like I'm not going to factor them into getting in to the final 16 of this event, and so.
No, of course not. Listen, it's not their fault that the Cole brothers didn't show up, and the Cole brothers can only take out so many players. So
no, for sure.
Like 5 out of the top 10.
Look, I think it just shows like the depth of the sport, and the way that talent level has closed so much because of the fact that like there's a lot of premier events going on all around the world, and listen, I know Matchroom does a great job on putting together great events, but like even outside of the Matchroom camps, like there's still solid events that are happening with like elite talent. You know what I mean? And so, and I also feel like on that note, the fact that like, listen, some guys are treated differently in terms of their table assignments and things like that, because I've seen, we saw the World Championships where Federer was on table 1 over and over and over again. Tell me that's not an advantage. You know what I mean? And so like the fact that there's just, it's more equal, and then along with the talent level having closed, maybe that's the reason why we're seeing it the way that it is, So I'm not so sure, but it further like if everything was open and even and equal, and you just think about like raw potential talent of teams, like, man, this gets me more excited as to what the potential of a Mosconi Cup type event could be, because I would love to see more youth. I would love to see more flavor, more new faces, new names, all these things, and it may still end up being an ass whooping at the end of the day, but you might also see rookies going rattle like you've never seen before. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to be sweating. I'm going to be sweating the end of this tournament. I'm gonna try to get another Hall of Famer on this weekend. I'm gonna try to do some weekend shows. I'm gonna try to get Kelly Fisher on the show, Mike. I don't know if I told you that or not.
No,
So I don't know what
that's
your
great.
schedule's like, but if you're around, I'd love to have you on. And so we'll keep your notifications on. You got anything else? Let me ask you this, Mike. What's your take on Pepsi? Because a lot of fans are seeing Pepsi for the first time. The
I
face says
don't
it all
watch.
right there.
I don't watch this stuff with volume on ever, ever. You know, I don't need them to talk me through a rack, and they don't really introduce anything interesting about the players that I would want to hear. So if they're basically just doing play by play, I don't need them. And they are a little bit out there. Some of them are just bad, and some of them are trying too hard. Either way, my mute button is my best friend.
We'll see you guys later. We're going to end on that.